Kansai Kollective. West side of Japan, we out here coolin', Zane and Nessa got connections. We know you got questions.
For another episode.
Oh, we're live.
Of the Kansai Collective.
We're live.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
It's Jason
morning.
Questenberry, your co-host. Joining me always, the man to my right.
Zane live in the Kansai. It is very early in the morning.
Very early. We got pushed out of our normal filming hours. No fault of anyone's.
It is no one's fault, but woof, God, it is very early.
That
and
6:30 a.m. bike ride up the streets of Osaka, like with tears flowing down my cheeks, is a wonderful way to get the studio session
I feel
going.
like a news anchor. You know when we used to wake up early before you go to
News
school.
anchors are up at like they start work at like 3 a.m. They're like by 6 they're like well awake. You know,
I need my beauty sleep. How many hours you get sleep last night?
Last night, probably like 6.5.
6.5.
Not too bad.
Is that your average?
I would
hours of
say I
sleep?
average 6 to 7. A bad night for me is less than 6. I can't sleep more than 7 hours though. If I sleep more than 7
really?
hours,
Ooh.
like I like have this problem where like I go in like burnout cycles, which is super unhealthy. Don't be like me.
Bad, Asa.
But
Bad.
yeah, I'll like, I'll just like manically work throughout the weekend, and then like I'll just be so drained I'll sleep for like 10 or 11 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Super unhealthy. So I try to keep it more balanced at like 7. But how about yourself?
I would say about 6 to 7.
6, 7. Kinda healthy.
8 is like, wow, I'm lucky to
8.
sleep.
I
to
feel
sleep that
bad
long.
sleeping that much. Tomo, how about yourself? How much did you sleep last night, Tomo? 5.
No,
Okay,
no.
Tomo's the most unhealthy, but Tomo has a son, so it's understandable.
Nah.
Guys, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Kansai Collective again. If you're ever in Osaka, come down to Honmachi, Osaka,
The
Japan.
deck.
Check out the deck, your creator, fab, share, maker space. If you guys
Love
want to
it.
get something done, this is the place to make it happen. As always, thank you to our sponsors, Edge Wilderness, Hinomaru, Dronex, Kabushi Gaisha, sending us off. So today, I had the wonderful, horrible pleasure over the last 2 weeks that I actually roped Zane into. So thank you in
Friends,
advance for
yeah,
the help.
no problem,
But
man.
I moved recently, which we had mentioned on a recent episode about moving. We're like, no, let's wait until after I move, and thank God we did, because boy do I have a lot more content to talk about now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful and it's a terrible experience at the same
It's mostly
time. I
terrible.
mean, you now live in a very cool area of
Most
Osaka.
Osaka place you can live in Osaka.
Umeda, where?
I can't dox myself, but it's a very
Can you give the people a hint? Is there?
It's kind of a tourist area.
Oh,
But I live
wow.
like right outside the tourist area, so I get to enjoy all the cool, super Osaka-poi or Osaka-like aspects of the area without like being right in the mess of it.
Now I haven't moved in a while, but like
Lucky you.
yeah, like first of all, you gotta put all your furniture and everything in order. How have you finished that yet?
It's coming together. There's a lot of. I got my working and living room set up, my working space, living room set up, which is fine.
yeah.
Bedrooms, everything's a mess other than that, basically. But my kitchen is set up so I can cook, I can feed myself, and I can work, which is the main thing. So this weekend, we're going to be getting into that, getting a little bit organized. But
So what do you like about your new crib so far?
oh, the light is very moody. It's very nice. If you know me, if you've ever been to like where I live
No,
here in Japan,
Asa.
I've got like a million plants. Like I love plants. It's gardening, hobbying, plants, bonsai, you name it. So I got lots of plants. So light and space is critical for me. So I got
botanist.
a botanist. I do like growing things for sure. And with that, the light in the new place is great. What else?
Well,
It's
you
convenient,
got-
man. It's convenient, super convenient.
We haven't used it yet, but you got that nice rooftop, man. I'm
I
ready to
do
explore.
have total rooftop access, which like these days my building is a little bit older, but the apartment itself is completely renovated. So beautiful place, but yeah, you can get access to like the dangerous parts of the building, which is cool.
All right, I'm curious. How did you find this apartment? Is it?
So this is one of like I have tons of these like random situations that my family swears is like just like the Questenberry luck. It's either like really good or really bad. But in this situation, I got recommended to a company called Lapedia, which is a foreigner-focused real estate company here in Japan. Because the problem with, as anyone who lives in Japan, if you're coming to Japan, something to be, aware of is there's a whole aspect of the guarantor system. And this is the person or company that basically will cover your payments should you die or disappear from the country.
Right. Okay.
And I can say it's changing these days, but I remember when I came here 4 years ago, it's like very few companies would guarantor like for a foreigner. Right. So this company that I worked with, Lapedia, they were only targeting foreign residents in Japan, and they had a guarantor company that would work with them. That would be your guarantor. You pay a little bit extra, but it makes everything. You can rent an apartment by yourself, which for a very, very long time was like a super hassle.
But don't get it twisted, man. Yo, like to move in Japan, you gotta pay the key money, the guarantor money.
So much money, man. You pay
like
it's like I forget. I was looking at the places, but it's like you pay an average of like 4 months rent up front when you move into a new place in Japan, which is a headache to say the least.
Yeah, there's ways to get around it. If you know people who work as a realtor, I think you can get it cheaper. I have some friends that were able to maybe pay like 1 month's rent.
Or you can live in a house that someone died in. If you're cool with that, if you don't care, those houses are super cheap because traditionally Japanese people will not rent or live in a house that has been tainted by death.
Would you live in a house that's been
Hey man, if I can afford it, I'm about to be best friends with that ghost. I don't care. I'm about to be like, hey man, I'm gonna take care of your place just as much as you did. You had it over here. I'm gonna change the chair, layout a little bit, but we're gonna be cool. I mean, it depends. Is it like, old lady passed away in her sleep, or like little girl was brutally murdered?
Sorry, I just had to do that.
Exactly. Sorry for our podcast listeners.
Nah, but it's not pleasant. I mean, if you think for me, bro, like if you think about it, Japan has tons of history. They probably had mad wars there where they built that building. You feel me?
I'm sure
like,
there's been a couple bad wars in this country.
Yeah, there's tons of people that died, but I think it's the fact that that someone died.
That's right, exactly.
That you feel like you can't live there, but. I know this one guy, I'm not going to put his name out there, but I think it's really interesting. He doesn't plan to stay here in Japan for the long haul. So what he does is every year he moves into a new place, because if you move into those cribs that someone died in, they give you half off.
You can rent half free.
Yeah, you rent half, but you only can live there for a year, because after that they basically say, okay,
burn it down and exorcise the demons.
They basically say like, okay, someone didn't die here. That's what I'm saying. That
now it's full price, because no, that was 2 years ago someone died. Okay,
exactly. That's crazy, right? But yeah, he's taking full advantage. He's living in beautiful places, and I respect it, man. You know what I'm saying?
If you can live in a little villa or a beautiful villa for half the price, why not? So, moving is a headache. There's a lot that goes into it. And
what's the headache? What did you have to go through? What was problem?
Well, first, the funny part with this Lapedia that I want to make sure I point out, just the weird situations I run into. So I work with this company, we find this apartment, it's great. I'm like, okay, this is the one I want. They're like, okay, let's go sign off on the papers. We go to sign off on the papers. I'm working with this, younger Japanese staff. She's probably 21, speaks fluent English, no problem. And she helped me the whole process. Next day I go back to get some more information. She's like, Asa, I'm sorry, I can't help you anymore in this building. And I was like, oh, is it all good? She's like, I'm getting laid off. And I was like,
ooh.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you're, young, cute girl that speaks English and Japanese, and you'll be fine. Not too worried.
Asa's single, by the way, ladies. Okay,
continue. Every episode, but you're a clown. But anyway, so she's like, I'm getting laid off. And I was like, oh, well, that sucks. You got something planned? She's like, I'm just going to chill. So I'm like, all right, whatever. She's like, this big white guy is going to help you, who we're going to hope to get on an episode in the future.
Okay.
But we're talking and we get everything finalized, and then that night after I signed the papers to get the apartment, that night I get a message from that girl. It was just like a blanket text she sent to like all of her clients.
Okay.
And she's like, "Hey, sorry to inform everyone, but the company just went bankrupt and we're closing our office." And I was just like, I was the last person this foreigner friendly real estate agent was able to get into an apartment, which just goes to show how little foreigners are coming into the country right now. I mean, if you're a foreigner focused real estate agent, I kind of asked if that was the reason, and some of the staff were like, getting that and some other stuff, but it was so it was interesting. So I got this place. Just finding a place is a headache. That's headache number 1.
Questenberry luck.
Headache number 2 is getting a guarantor on your place, and also like an emergency contact.
Yeah, ouch.
Because like, for example, like you can't be my emergency contact.
Right.
It has to be a Japanese person.
Yeah, you guys got to really like create this image, right? You know, you're a foreigner living in Japan, you know what I'm saying? Where there's not too many foreigners, that live here, and like they want you to have some Japanese person backing you,
which is a huge ask. That's like, like as people and friends have told me, I was like, you want to be my emergency contact? They're like, I don't really want to jeopardize our friendship, so you should find someone else. And I totally get it. So finding the place is a headache. Getting a emergency contact or guarantor is a massive headache. And then moving. And then that's all just like the minor headaches for the big headache, which is actually moving. Because in Japan, what I've found is typically this is a country of like, you pay for said company that offers that service. Even if you can do it yourself, you pay someone. But being an American, I'm like, no, I don't need to pay for a moving company. Moving companies are expensive. You can spend
very expensive,
like $2,000 just on a moving company, and you got to schedule it way early.
Now, like, let's factor in that you just paid like 3 months rent.
4 months rent just to move.
Exactly, right?
Just to get the new place.
You got that guarantor backing you feel me? And then you have to get the moving people.
Right. So instead of getting a moving people, I've got Zane, and I said, "Hey Zane, we're gonna rent a flatbed truck and we're gonna move everything ourselves." And Zane, sure enough, man, get good friends, get your community out here.
Yeah,
Zane,
man. I mean, like,
came ready to rock. He was great.
Like, I moved when I first moved to Osaka, man. That was like 4 years ago. You feel me? Like, I had to go through the same thing, and if you've been through that, you know you don't want anyone to go through the same thing you went through.
The funniest part of this whole situation with the moving. So Zane was great. So the spoiler alert is we moved properly, but the funny story in that is like I reserved a truck in advance. Like a massive box truck that turns out like Zane's license did not qualify for, so we had to get a smaller truck. But we go to the rental car place, and it's like early in the morning, and like encountering foreign people is not in every Japanese person's day-to-day. It's for some people this can be a very rare occasion, and I think sometimes it can be a little intimidating. Now, if you've ever met Zane goes to the gym quite a bit. Zane's a pretty solid guy. Zane also like paints his nails, has blonde dreadlocks,
and like,
yes,
you see it,
and dresses in samurai gear. So we're at this rental truck place, and like the guy, I'm like, all right, I have this reservation, and the guy's looking at it, and he's just like, like he's like, you can't use your license for this truck, it's too big. And like Zane just leans into the glass. I mean, like they have these glass dividers, and Zane's like inches from this face, and he's just like, why? And like the guy just like shrinks back and is just like, I'm gonna find another truck.
I like that.
And Zane is like, there's a phrase in Japan called a KY, which is like kuki yomanai, which means like you can't read the air. You can't, like, you don't realize the social situation. Zane just stays like inches from this dude's face like the entire time this poor guy is searching for a truck. And I'm like, dude, back up, you're intimidating this dude. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, bro, you're a giant black dude with fingernails painted like 5 inches from this dude's face. Like, he's probably like about to piss himself. You need to back up. So it's like, so Zane's like, oh, you're probably right. He leans back. Sure enough, they come back to us. They're like, okay, we got a truck. It's, you know, it's a nice flatbed truck.
That's hilarious.
But that was okay. So getting the truck, check. We did ourselves. We didn't pay the moving fee. Renting a car actually is quite cheap in Japan.
Yeah, definitely recommend that.
But the funny thing, the dynamic with me and Zane is funny. Is like I worry way too much about everything, and Zane doesn't give any thought to anything he should worry about.
Guap.
Like, for example, we pack up my car. It's like the truck. It's a flatbed, so it's packed to the like. It's like stacked high on the back. We've got a tarp over it, and like we're just like, yeah, we'll just wrap this rope around the tarp, hoping that like keeps it. So we're driving, and we get on the highway, like, cause it's a little bit of a drive. It's like 30 minutes on the highway.
Right.
Man, we're on the highway 4 minutes, and the tarp starts flapping in the wind, like flying all crazy. I'm like, dude, you gotta pull over. You gotta pull over. That tarp can't fly off. We must have, and this went on for 20, 25 minutes. I mean, we must have stopped 6 or 7 times for me to hop out on the highway. Like, put the tarp. Don't worry,
He's exaggerating.
It was
like 3. It was like 3 times.
3 on one trip.
He
dude,
likes to
you're
multiply.
Crazy. The cool thing is Japan's got these little emergency pull-offs all on the highway. So we weren't like stopping though. We were off the side, but we're going down the highway. 2 foreigners, you know, this truck full of stuff, tarps flying around, ropes are falling off of it. Like, we look like a mess, but we got it done.
Yeah, man. I mean, you had me worried. It was my first time driving such truck.
Right. Zane's a city dude. Zane's never driven anything other than a box car. So he's
interesting facts about Asa. Tell us, what can you drive? You can drive.
I've driven just about piloted, driven, operated. I've operated everything except an 18-wheeler. So I've flown a plane. Oh, that's not true. I've never flown a helicopter either.
Okay, you flown a plane. What else? Give me some.
Flown a small plane, a boat, excavator, dump truck. My dad runs a construction company, so it's like at like 15, he's like, "All right, drive this down the street," and I was like, "I don't have a license," and he's like, "I need you to drive it down the street." so yeah, I'm pretty confident in my ability to drive.
Yeah, thank you, man. Benkyo ni narimashita.
Yes, Zane learned how to operate
it was
a truck.
Crazy, right? Because we had to get the insurance too, right? Like, it's crazy. So the way they
sell you the insurance.
They're like, yo, you can rent this truck, but if you get into an accident,
you got to give us $10,000+.
Like, what? So he tells you that as soon as you're about to get the keys, and so like that just puts a little more pressure on you.
He's dangling the keys. He's like, "Oh yeah, just so you know, if you damage this truck at all, it's like $10,000." And then we're like, "All right, we'll take that $15 insurance." So we got it. So finding the apartment, headache. Guarantor, headache. Moving, expensive and or a mess regardless. So that's a headache. And then on top of that, Japan being Japan is like, there's just paperwork. There's endless paperwork. You got to go to your old city hall. Let them know you're moving. Get all your papers canceled. They give you you have to go to them first, because they then give you a paper to bring to your new city hall that you give to them, and you got to register your stamps and your address and your healthcare and insurance. You have to, everything changes. And then on top of that, you got to go to the post office. You got to go re-register your address with your old post. It's,
oh my God.
So it's like, I'm still, I think I'm like 75%. I still got to do the paperwork stuff. I already went to the old one.
I'm cringing, bro. I'm like, I don't want to move now because everything you're saying is just
headache, man. It's a
headache.
So my recommendation is, if you come to Japan, find somewhere you like, quickly, and get into that.
Difficult.
But exactly, because it's like I loved where I used to live, but now that I'm in this place, I'm like, oh, I'm definitely not moving for like 5 years. I'm gonna be there. It's too much of a headache. So
okay. So
how long have you been at your place?
Me, maybe 4 years. I'm ready to move though. But it has to be, it has to be a good place, and I'm looking to move to like Tanimachi, Tenma,
Explain to the crowd, what is the Tenma area? What's Tanimachi?
Oh, it's closer to the city. It's just for me, Tanimachi has a lot of culture, but it's also very modern. It's very chill, and very still like close to the city.
Accessible, right?
Yeah, it's accessible.
Well, we were talking about this morning because so basically, like, if you know nothing about Osaka, like the geography or the demographics, it's like it's kind of got this north-south rivalry going on. So Osaka, here's a bay, here's Osaka around it. You got North Osaka, South Osaka. South Osaka is typically where we'll say the less rich people live, and the north area is where the rich people live. But Umeda is our downtown, and just north of Umeda, there's a large river, Yodogawa, that separates really like the real north area. Like once you're north of Yodogawa, you're kind of in like the northern Osaka area.
Okay.
You get up into Suita, Toyonaka, that's all North Osaka. So the problem is if you've got a biking from North Osaka across that river down into the city is a super hassle. Okay. Like it's a super headache. So this is I've now come to the south side, more in the city. So this is like the first time in the 3 or 4 years I've been here that I can like hop on a bike and bike anywhere I want for the most part.
Beautiful. We're gonna have a lot of bike rides. Yeah, man, being in this Osaka. But riding bikes in the city is like one of the best things in the world, and you get to see so much more when you ride your bikes. But back to moving, man. You need to touch on like also you have to turn off like your electricity, right?
Yes, that's just you have to like you have to re-register like with the city. You have to buy into a new gas and electric scheme. You got to have a person come out, set it up. You can't also
and they take like
Wi-Fi,
what?
Dude. Wi-Fi.
Yeah, do people move that much, bro? Where like they're backed up because
I don't know, Tomo. What do you think? Is moving common in Japan? Do you think people? I mean, that's a stupid question. Yeah. Lifestyle, right? I was like, it's moving.
It's weird though, but you didn't move like so. I have another friend.
So what is the point you're making about why do people move a lot?
Because like I have another friend who wants to set up his like Wi-Fi, and he moved into his apartment like maybe a week ago, and they still aren't available to
we'll be out in 4 weeks to set up your Wi-Fi.
Right. And mind you, the world we live in now, Wi-Fi
He's like, dude,
is
I
huge,
need Wi-Fi.
bro. But also, right, another thing he's dealing with is like because his visa is only 1 year, like you need like again like a sponsor or somebody to get you a contract
guarantor
for your Wi-Fi, to get a contract with these. And it's wild. Like, it's very difficult, man. But I don't know what he's going to do. But, yeah.
I'll figure it out. So you're saying, did I figure mine out?
Yes.
Is the question. Quick, we did some little editing magic there. Whoop. Did I figure mine out? So Wi-Fi is a super hassle. Typically, as Zane said, the people, like, you have to have Wi-Fi come. It's not like America where you can just buy a Wi-Fi router and plug it in and bam, you have Wi-Fi. You have to get it. You have to have someone come out and install it into your building. But this is changing because there's like, you can go out and buy this like SoftBank plug-in modem now, which is like, it's great. So I have one of those. Okay. So I got, from day one, I had Wi-Fi. But I remember when I first moved to Japan, it was the same situation. They're like, okay, it'll be 3.5 weeks before we can get a team to come out and plug in your Wi-Fi. And it's going to be $250 to do it. And I'm like, oh, God. So...
Stack your bread when you move, man.
Man, yeah, you really, when you move, you should, if you don't want to rent, and even if you want to rent a car, like you have to have someone with a license, which is like, not as easy as you would. Yeah, it's not as easy as you think. But you should have at least 6 months rent, like ready to spend.
Asa is a very, I guess, precise and make sure there's no problems in the near future, but you don't have to have 6 months, in my opinion, man.
You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can live a little in the danger side.
you move all your stuff, you pay to get in, and then you're like, wait, I can't afford the moving company.
It's a good experience, man. Everybody gets through it somehow. Like, you know, the good thing about Japan,
Definitely.
you know, you'll definitely have some people who will help you out. You know, I think the moving culture is crazy as far as like for foreigners. Like, you sold a lot of your stuff, right? When you moved.
Yeah, there is like, because there's such a turnover of foreigners, right? People come and they go all the time, and you can't fly back to wherever your country is with a bed.
Right.
So like, if you're in Japan, you gotta hop onto. I don't like to plug Facebook ever, but there's a group on Facebook called
not
the
even Facebook, it's the
Sayonara
Meta, bro.
Sales. The Meta. You're right. It's no longer. It's the Meta. Hop onto Meta Marketplace, and you gotta hop onto the Osaka, or there's like a Tokyo, Osaka, but they're called the Sayonara Sales. And this is just like a place that people, they're like, hey, I can't bring my guitar back to America, so like give me $10 and you can have my guitar. So I sold a bunch of stuff on there, and it's constant. There's constantly stuff that's like rather new because people's situation changes so often and they have to leave. So it's a good place to get some stuff. But one thing we didn't touch on before we close this out, the key money.
Okay.
Tell
us about it.
You tell us what is key money.
I haven't moved recently. You have to pay for the key?
The key money goes back to like really old Japan, and it's a concept where you're essentially grateful to the owner of the building for letting you stay there.
Boo.
So you pay them a extra month's rent in what's called a key money. And, Tom, what's the Japanese for this? It's like the kin rei. I forget the name. Reikin. Reikin, right? Reikin. So we call it. I think foreigners call it key money. Reikin. So the reikin. You gotta pay this. It's basically like, thank you for letting me live here. Here's an extra month's rent free, and like it's not like a security deposit that you get back. No, you don't get it back. It's just like, hey, thanks, man. Take this extra month's rent.
Wild.
But like my apartment didn't have key money, so this is not and now even when you're searching online, like online listed apartments will say whether or not it has a key money necessary. So it really depends. But yeah, if you're moving into like some older, more traditional place, you can definitely expect some reikin.
Really?
Reikin.
Well, I remember when we interviewed Adrian. Shout out to Adrian.
Adrian, we miss you. Cool. Come back to the new studio. We'll get you on another episode soon.
She was saying like she found her apartment by going around her neighborhood, and then she found like for rent signs, and then just talking straight to the owner of the building.
Yeah, but Adrian's a boss. Adrian speaks Japanese. She's been here forever. Like,
well, hey man, if you want to shoot your shot, man, that's what I plan to do for my next.
Just walk around. Well,
apartment. Yeah.
Maybe don't paint your nails and get really close to their face. That might get you a little bit
man. They want to bring some new.
Choto KY.
No.
So moving is a hassle, but then I think the beauty of it is like, what I really love the most is just I'm in a totally different area than I was before. And to me, it really rounds out my experience of a totally different side of Osaka. And to me, it's like, in my opinion, it's people would say it's like an older area. And it's like kind of like it's in a touristy spot. But to me, like as we talked about with Sandro as well, like how foreigners love to preserve other countries' cultures. Man, I love it. I'm right in like the midst of all the aspects of like Japan that I love. So it's cool. I got a new experience. I can bike a little bit more. And moving, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and get a buddy of mine that I mentioned that works in real estate, Japanese real estate here on the channel.
We would love
get
to
him on
have
the podcast.
Yes.
And maybe he can give you guys a lot more insight. So if you guys are coming to Japan, if you're trying to figure out moving or apartments, you're coming to the Kansai area, be sure to drop us a comment, drop us a link, and we will plug you into some recommended groups for you to work with to really make your trip easier.
So make sure that you got your guap up.
Get the guap. We're trying to push this word now.
Yes,
guap.
we are.
Guap.
When you want to move, you're probably gonna want like a Japanese friend who's gonna walk you through.
Being in Japan in general, you need a Japanese friend.
Yeah, that's a fact. Like Tomo, we got Tomo Morisawa. He's letting us He's helping us a lot.
We're up in the studio
We love
because of the
you.
man. We love you, Tomo.
But okay, you
Get
got
your money up.
Money
Get a
up.
Japanese friend.
Get a Japanese friend. And yeah, just try to prepare ahead of time. You know, talk to people who.
That was my mistake this time. Is I didn't give myself I was like I can do this in 2 weeks. Totally.
And I think everyone usually moves around April. Or like
okay, Tomo's
March,
giving the
yeah.
nod. So he says,
Yeah.
"Why is that? Just because it's just like the new year in Japan? That's
Yes.
new start.
okay." So
Stuff, yeah.
apparently, I had no idea. I just was like,
A
"Well,
word.
actually, my old lease ended in March, so that would make a lot of. So it's moving season. Okay,
So yeah,
No
maybe
idea.
you might not want to move during moving season.
but I guess it's really when you can find because it all depends on when you can find a lease.
I think it's cheaper when you move when it's not like moving season, right? Like apartments and
Probably.
things. Yeah.
Rental companies aren't charging people. Well, that's
Yeah.
probably why they're like when I asked a rental company, they're like, it's gonna be 4 weeks. I was like, ooh, I do not have time to wait for that. So that makes a lot of sense. So there you know, don't move or try to not move in the spring season. It's gonna be a little bit busier.
And get you a friend like Zane because
Get you a friend. Oh yeah, get you a friend that's down to just carry some heavy
Yes.
stuff with you and drive down. So thank you, brother. I appreciate
Yes.
that. Made my life much easier.
ouch.
So also, I guess the last part, like when because a lot of people in some comments will get is like people are like, well, how did you get an apartment when you came here? So you can answer that first, and then I will answer how you got into your first Japanese apartment.
Well, my company basically they owned apartments and they moved me into one of those, so I didn't really have a problem getting into an apartment.
Same, exactly the
Yes,
same.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
So typically, yeah, your first company
But,
into
yeah.
Japan super critical.
Yeah, or I know I have some friends who like moved into hostels, you know what I'm saying, and then they got into
There
hostels.
are some other routes.
Yep.
This will be good to talk with our real estate interview.
That's a fact.
But yeah, for me it was the company. Companies can really help you. Well, they're how you get to Japan. So you got to figure out what's your first company here.
Right.
If you guys like this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. Putting out more Japan Kansai content. Coming, you guys, with new episodes every week. We're trying to get some more TikTok, Instagram content.
Yeah,
It just takes
man.
ちょっと時間かかりました. It takes lots of time, but we're getting on it. If you guys like it, also check out our Patreon. We would love to get your support so that we can grow this
Support
wonderful
Kansai
channel and
Collective.
give you guys all the content you want to see. Thank you again to our sponsors. We've got The Deck, we've got Edge Wilderness, we've got Hinomaru, and Dronex.
Dronex, baby.
We'll be coming to you guys next time with another episode.
Peace.
Excellent.
Well done.
Well done. You got the
Excellent.